Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizers and Chemicals earnings call hosted by Batliwala and Karani Securities. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Parth Adhyar from Batliwala and Karani Securities. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Malika. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizers and Chemicals for Q and FY21 earnings conference call. We thank the management for giving us the opportunity to host the call. Today with us, we have Mr. D.V. Parikh, General Manager and CFO, Mr. Y.N. Patel, Head of Department O&M, Mr. A.C. Shah, General Manager and Company Secretary. I would now like to hand over the call to Mr. D.V. Parikh for his opening remarks. Thank you and over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much and warm welcome to all the participants to this call on Q4 and full year earnings call. Financial year 2020-21 will be remembered as one of the exceptional years, especially due to the disruptions created by pandemic. The disruptions have been across the globe, impacting demand supply as well as creating logistical bottleneck issues. The nature of disruptions have been varying, impacting individuals in terms of their personal life and organizations with far-reaching financial and other impacts. Loss of life has been one of the key resource loss issue across the board. Many industries during this time have been badly affected, especially in certain sectors like hospitality, aviation, real estate, etc., whereas certain sectors like bulk chemicals have recovered after initial hiccups. Talking about fertilizer in general, industry in general, it has witnessed a growth of 8% overall. Within the fertilizer industry, while we talk of urea, it has witnessed a growth of around 5% in sales. And mixed fertilizer, SSP and MOP have witnessed double-digit growth during FY 2021. When it comes to bulk chemicals, it has fast recovered after initial hiccups, mainly because of the lower imports, disruptions in logistical infrastructure across the globe, lockdown affecting demand supply due to impact on production. Now I'll cover the Q4 and full year performance of GNFC. First, we touch upon the quantitative performance of the three periods, that is quarter 4 versus quarter 3, quarter 4 versus quarter 4, and full year versus full year. Quarter 4 versus quarter 3 has seen some decline in terms of the production, mainly because we had an issue in our mixed fertilizer plant and cost economic issues in product like methanol. Whereas while we compare Q4 versus Q4, there is a significant volume improvement mainly on account of the TDI production as well as sales. On a full year basis, there is a loss of volume of around 7 to 8% between chemical and fertilizer, mainly because for the whole of April, the plants were under shutdown. And in case of TDI Dahej, it was practically in the shutdown till mid-June. While we talk about the financial performance, there are certain highlights which we would like to give. GNFC has recorded highest ever PBT of 450 crore for Q4, mainly driven by the industrial product performance. It is on a full year basis, it is the second highest ever PBT at 948 crores. Board has also declared highest ever dividend at 80% at rupees 8 per share. Now we come to the full year financials and the major variances. The major variances come in terms of the revenue from realizations driven by IP. In case of fertilizer, while we will cover when we talk about segment, but the major change has come because in FY 19-20 there was a one-time realization and recognition of subsidy of around 191 crores. The salary costs are apparently down because last year GNFC recorded a PF transfer loss of around 61 crore rupees. Apart from that, other expenses have gone up mainly because the catalyst cost has gone up. The obligation because of the CSR is contributing to some extent, as well as the insurance cost has gone up. So these are the three factors affecting other expenses. Now, while we talk about the segment performance, as is apparent, the show is stolen by IP with a significant increase in the segment performance. Fertilizer is impacted mainly because last year, there was a recognition of around 191 crore as one-time subsidy, which came in respect of the areas for last 5 years thereof, because of the change in the government policy regarding the fixed cost subsidy. This time, board has clear investment proposals worth around 1250 crores. Mainly, it pertains to the acids, ammonium nitrate, and ammonia. Looking forward, in this financial year, the annual shutdown has been over in the month of April tactically. While the input costs are fast rising, the higher realization is keeping the momentum on. And as of now, although there are headwinds, company has been in a position to wither away the headwinds. So this is all from our side in terms of covering the highlights of the financials. Now I leave the session over to question answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Rahul Veera from Abacus Management. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. So can you give the split of the segmental chemical segment further down, sir? We wanted to understand TDI versus the other piece, the revenues as well as the EBIT.
Okay. Like last time we clarified, within the segment we generally don't give the product-wise breakup. But since you want to know about TDI, it is touching 1,000 crore within this chemical segment. But product to product, we normally don't disclose as a matter of approach.
Sure. Will do. No problem, sir. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1 now. The next question is from the line of Nitin Gosar from Invesco. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Can you please touch upon price points for various products, how they have behaved, and what is the outlook like in case of TDI, acetic acid?
Okay. Sure.
For me.
Okay. Since it pertains to marketing aspect, I will request our senior colleague, Mr. Jiten Desai and MM Upadhyay, to touch upon certain products, how the prices have behaved and what is the outlook.
Right.
Over to Jiten bhai.
Mr. Jiten, your voice is not audible, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. It's audible now.
Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. G.
I'm sorry, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can we take this question little later because Mr. Jiten Desai is on the way to reach this conference place within 5 to 10 minutes.
Right. Meanwhile, I will partly cover the question, and if something more is really required by the participant, then probably Mr. Desai can cover.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
The other question, sorry, Desai ji, do you want me to put across the second question or I put
It is up to you. I will deal with your first question also, and you can tell me the second question as well, please.
Okay. The second question would be pertaining to the fertilizer subsidy, the backdated ones which have been now cleared off. Incremental, what should be the number we should be keeping in our mind? Is there a permanent change that we should be looking forward to? Or with regard to the recent changes in the subsidy which has happened day before yesterday, this will create an additional leg of tail burden which will come on the balance sheet at a later stage of time. The government may not be having the complete cash flow to provide those subsidies on time.
Okay. With your permission, may I answer first the second question by the time Mr. Desai comes up?
Please, sir. At your ease.
Okay. Regarding your question on the fixed cost subsidy, see, in case of GNFC, we will get around 32 crore per annum because of the kind of change which was announced on 30th of March 2020. And it is going to be regular subsidy year on year. Okay.
Okay.
Now, coming to the question about day before yesterday's announcement of changing the nutrient-based subsidy rates, of course, there is going to be a positive impact. But what has happened, most of the companies have really increased the prices of the mixed fertilizer. And it might so happen that government may expect these companies to roll back the price increase because the subsidy is now given to them. So let us see how it pans out and how the players react to this change which is announced in the nutrient-based subsidy. It is little premature to talk about that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, by the time Mr. Desai comes, I will give you the overall scenario about the industrial products. Okay, like we have a basket of industrial product, as you may know, ranging from acetic acid, ammonium nitrate, aniline, concentrated nitric acid, ethyl acetate, formic acid, methanol, TDI, so on and so forth, weak nitric acid. Now, this year across the board, these IP industrial products have done quite well. Okay, and one of the reason of doing quite well is there have been lesser imports as well, ranging from 5 to up to 29%, depending upon the products. Secondly, because of the these logistical issues, it has given us a premium pricing at times because of the demand-supply gap. Like we have seen good pricing in case of like acetic acid, ammonium nitrate, concentrated nitric acid has been close to highest ever or highest ever. Mr. Desai, if he has come, he will comment on more on the subject. Mr. Desai, are you around now?
No, he is on the way.
Okay. Okay. So my point is, in most of these industrial products we have seen, including like as compared to 1920, TDI also there is a significant improvement in terms of the realization. So this is broadly from a finance perspective about the industrial product. If still there is something more you want to know, let Mr. Desai come and then answer it. Meanwhile, we may take the next question if permitted. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll be in the queue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next question is from the line of Bharat Seth from Quest Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. My question was mainly on the pricing part only and market outlook and how do we see this hydrochloric acid, and plus that part I will take later on with Mr. Desai coming in. But if you can give some rough idea, capacity addition during FY21 and capex plan for 22, 23, and where we are adding the capacity.
Okay. Regarding capacity addition, like as you may know, we have three debottlenecking as well as brownfield project which we covered last time as well. One is pertaining to the formic acid, which will add 20 metric ton per day. Second is the concentrated nitric acid, which will contribute around 150 metric ton per day. And the third is the debottlenecking in case of the TDI resulting from the new installation of the list unit. So in the last con call, we have already covered this three, and we are expecting this somewhere in the this financial year as well as next financial year to contribute partly as well as thereafter fully.
Okay. In addition to that, any new capex plan has been formed up?
Yes. Board has cleared a capex plan worth around 1250 crores, and these are basically the brownfield additions in ammonia, ammonium nitrate as well as weak nitric acid.
That will be over a what time frame? 1,250 crores?
See, it will take around 3 years from zero date.
Okay. And how much capacity addition will happen on account of that?
Okay.
In each of the three?
In case of weak nitric acid, we are planning around 200,000. Okay. In case of ammonium nitrate, it will range between 100,000 to 130,000. And in case of ammonia, it is going to be 50,000 metric ton per annum.
Okay. And any further, sir, plan on the reducing energy cost or?
Okay. See, energy is something where we are already close to the threshold. The Department of Fertilizer has prescribed the norm of last year average norm was 6.25, and we were around the same. This year, effective 1st October 2020, it is 6.20 Gcal per metric ton of urea. And our operations team, I would request Mr. Yogesh Patel to throw some light on this, but as far as I know, we are going to be hovering around the same. It is over to Sri Yogesh Bhai.
Regarding energy front, we are likely to achieve norms set by DOF, that is around 6.2, because we have done some modification in plant like urea revamp, one eject.
Hello, sir, your voice is not audible. Mr. Yogesh?
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you may go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, regarding energy norms, energy requirements, we are likely to meet requirements set by DOF, that is 6.2 Gcal per ton of urea, because we have taken quite a few modifications in recent shutdown, where something is done in urea plant, where one chiller is installed, then a cooling water revamp job we have taken, and one ejector is also installed, which will contribute to some extent to energy. And major contribution will be from syngas machine in ammonia plant, where BHEL revamp has been carried out. That will contribute and will likely to meet the norms. That's all regarding energy.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. If I have question, I'll come back.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nikhil Parekh from Tamohara Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Sir, I have a couple of questions. So the first question is that the recently announced subsidy a couple of days back. Sir, I would just like to understand the impact.
Mr. Parekh, so this is the conference operator. There is a disturbance coming from your line. Request you to mute your line after your question so that the management answers your question.
So I have a couple of questions. The first question is that the recently announced subsidy a couple of days back. Sir, I would like to know the impact it will have on the top line and the bottom line.
Okay. May I answer your question one by one? That will be better.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
See, day before yesterday, the announcement which we came, in case of our mixed fertilizer, there is an impact of around 6,000 rupees per metric ton. Okay. Now, see, when government gives a subsidy, it is expecting companies to reduce the price which were increased. So it is going to be some interplay between the two, and it will be premature to quantify what will be the impact. But of course, with the change in subsidy, the increased cost which has been there in terms of the rock phosphate, ammonia, etc., will be set off significantly. So to that extent, fertilizer segment should improve now. Now, to what extent it should improve, it's an interplay between what kind of price rise we have been in a position to push through the market.
Okay. So have we taken as such any price hike in the recent past, and are we looking for any rollback?
See, we did a price rise of around 7,000 rupees per metric ton somewhere in May, early May. And that was followed by this government notification. Now what happens, most of the companies also increase the prices, and accordingly GNFC also increased the prices because input costs were substantially rising. Now after the announcement, government might push hard the fertilizer companies that they should roll back, if not fully, at least partly, the price increase. So let us see how it pans out, because it is little early to say about this, how the market players behave, to what extent they roll back, and our reaction to that will all depend on that.
Okay. So any approximate percentage, sir, can you give approximate what industry has taken as a price hike in the recent months?
See, it all depends upon, there are so many mixed fertilizers. Okay. Like you must have seen the notification. And for each there is a different impact, depending upon the composition of nutrient.
Okay.
So in general we can't say, but like in case of GNFC, like it will improve by around 20% or so, the mixed fertilizers margin improvement, because it was so much eroded with the continuously enhancing cost. It has given some respite, and that should improve the fertilizer segment going forward.
Okay. So just one point to confirm. So you're saying that the recent price hike about 7,000 metric ton which we've taken, in case if we don't roll back that price hike, it will be sort of given advantage of 20% of the margins.
No, I have 20%. I am talking with respect to the day before yesterday's notification.
Right.
Okay. With that, normally what happens, government expects that companies roll back the prices because they have already given certain amount. Now, in our case, if you see, we got around 6,087 rupees per metric ton. Okay, and we increased the price earlier around 7-8 of May by 7,000 rupees. So how the market plays around our rollback will depend upon that. It might be full, it might be partial, and to that extent the percentage will change.
Okay. That was helpful, sir. So one more question. So again, in the month of February and March, we've seen a bullet payment with respect to, all backlog subsidy which has been cleared. So just wanted to, sir, know your thoughts that going forward now, do you see, government sort of clearing subsidy backlog on month-on-month basis, or have you received any money in the month of May or April,
Okay. See, first of all, because of the government's additional allocation of 65,000 crore, somewhere in October, November 2020, most of the companies got benefited, including GNFC. GNFC has witnessed the highest ever subsidy receipt of 1722 crore last year. Now coming to your question about current year, because of certain disruptions, they have not released the subsidy in the month of April to the extent required. But they have provided fully the budgeted amount. So we understand that subsidy will not be an issue and there will not be a backlog. Now the issue is that of the day before yesterday's impact, which will create around 14,000-15,000 crore of burden further on exchequer. Whether government is increasing the budget allocation or not, that is, we are yet to see that what is the stand government is taking. Whether it will be incremental budget allocation or it will eat away the budget allocation of around 80,000 crore. In that case, there could be some areas of subsidy, but it is again premature to say on that because it will depend upon what stand government takes.
Okay. And so last question was again on the industrial product. As you rightly mentioned that, we've seen some improvement or there was some improvement in the outlook with respect to overall supply chain issues due to which, there was restrictions on import so that is subdued. But once this logistics challenges sorts of improves in couple of quarters, then sir, in your thoughts, sir, what will be an overall outlook for industrial product segment?
Okay. Now, if Mr. Desai has come, I would request him to answer this question.
Yeah, Mr. Desai, Jiten Bhai has joined the conference. I would request him to please answer the question. Over to Jiten Bhai.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. I am Jiten Desai. About the market outlook about the industrial products, the year 2021, in spite of the COVID, was very fantastic for us, that everybody knows. Now, going forward, in the current year 21-22, resurgence of COVID has definitely some impact, but our main products are not affected that much. We can say just today also, 7 out of 10 main products, the prices prevailing is at the ever highest level. So that is because of the support of the demand, because of the support of international prices still sustaining. And as you said, one of your anxiety is the logistic. Now logistic problems, particularly the shipping from one country to another is really a bottleneck nowadays. But that is working in favor of us in most of our products because our products are import substitute. And the delay in parcels are making imbalance in demand supply in India, and that is to our favor to some extent.
Okay.
Hello? Okay.
Yeah. So, sir, I just wanted to have further outlook saying that once that bottleneck clears out in couple of quarters, then what is the outlook for overall industrial products?
As far as domestic demands are concerned,
yes, sir.
Some of our products like TDI, which is used in comfort products, definitely the domestic demand has affected due to COVID. But as we observed in last year, that the demand was standstill due to COVID, but as soon as it subsided, the demand has spurted actually. It has bounced back. So we expect the same thing again in this year, and as you know, the COVID situation is subsiding now in most of the area. So we hope a good market. And for our other products, other main products like acetic acid, ethyl acetate, formic acid, the demand is still sustaining. It's a very good demand. And as far as international scenario is concerned, international scenario is not affected much by this COVID because resurgence is very limited in most of the area of the world. So we see at least a similar year like last year going forward, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter of this current financial year.
Okay. And sir, just one last question before
Mr. Parekh, sir, I would request you to rejoin the queue for follow-up questions.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nishad Shah from Equita Investments. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir, and congratulations on good set of numbers. Sir, I wanted to understand our 1250 crores capex, how much additional revenues do we expect from each of the segments like ammonia, weak nitric acid, etc.?
Okay. Mr. Makad is around, or if he is not around, I will answer the question.
He is available. Please, Mr. Makad.
Okay.
Actually, good afternoon. Ammonia is basically raw material for WNA, that is a weak nitric acid, and weak nitric acid is also getting consumed in ammonium nitrate. So part of the production, that is so long as ammonia is concerned, will be fully absorbed at 50,000 metric tons in the production of new WNA, and the WNA will get also consumed in ANML by almost 1 lakh metric tons per annum. So the turnover, directly impact of the turnover will be in the sales of ammonium nitrate and to the certain extent WNA. So it will be at the tune of around 200 crores, and the rest of the things will get utilized as a raw material? Thank you.
One thing I would like to clarify that when we use ammonia captively, there is going to be a cost advantage, significant cost advantage because of the increased capacity, which will again add up to the bottom line. Apart from the turnover which Piyush Bhai has mentioned, there is going to be an impact in terms of the reduced cost also because of this ammonia production.
Okay. So, sir, can you help me understand how much this ammonia integration helps us ultimately in saving costs?
Okay. Our current estimate is around 30 crore per annum, which will be saving by manufacturing through additional loop of 50,000 metric ton per annum.
Okay. And sir, if I heard it correctly, you said the nitric acid prices are at all-time high. So can you give me a trend how much it was higher in Q4 and post Q4 how much the prices are higher in percentage terms?
Okay, I'll request Jiten Bhai to answer this question.
We have two types of nitric acid, weak nitric acid and concentrated nitric acid. For the weak nitric acid and concentrated nitric acid both, the prevailing price is higher by around 30 to 35%, and that is the highest ever price. Going forward,
sorry sir, the 35% is higher than which rate?
Higher than the normal price, which is prevailing, I think, second quarter of last year.
Okay. And so you were saying the monsoon?
Monsoon will affect little bit above as far as demand is concerned. So this quarter two and quarter two particularly, when the monsoon is on high, the demand of WNA particularly is going down. But we are keeping our fingers crossed that the price will sustain or will come to little bit a lower level.
Okay, sir.
To support what Jiten Bhai is saying, if we compare Q4 versus Q4, the WNA price increase is more than 60%.
Oh, wow. And
okay, in terms of realization.
Price?
In terms of WNA realization,
yes,
it is more than 60%.
So post Q4, did we see in April and May any price increase?
The number I gave is Q4 versus Q4. Now your question is after Q4 there is any increase or not?
Yes.
Not much. But Jiten Bhai will clarify further.
It is almost steady.
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to two per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, would request you to rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Nitin Gosar from Invesco. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Can you help us understand capacity utilization in different products like PDI, acetic acid, formic acid, aniline, acetate?
Okay, fine. Now we have our operations and maintenance head. So we would request Sri Yogesh Bhai Patel to attend this question.
Yes. Capacity utilization, if we go by product wise, urea is around 120%. Formic acid, one moment. Methanol capacity utilization is around 77% in one plant, methanol 1. Methanol 2 is around 69% because of some stoppage in between. Formic acid, if we go, it is 192%. Acetic acid is 148%. Ammonium nitrophosphate is 120%. Likewise, this varies. If we say CNA, then it is around 108%. If we go for aniline, it is 92%. TDI 1 is 120%.
Wow.
TDI2 is around 78%. Some percentage here and there, might be little. That might be little bit change, but these are more or less figures which I have right now.
Yeah, this is good enough to just give a judgment around it. And ethyl acetate, if you could help us on utilization.
I will give the number. Yogesh bhai, if okay, I may tell him.
Okay.
Ethyl acetate is 117%.
Yeah, 117, right.
117.
And we are seeing prices have continued to stay elevated in all the products that we are operating.
That Jitan bhai has already given the outlook. Mr. Desai has already covered.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of A.M. Lodha from Sanmati Consultant. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yes, good afternoon, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Sir, recently, the government has increased the prices of, government has increased the subsidies in the NKP and other phosphatic fertilizers, whereas in urea, government has not increased any subsidy in urea. Whether our company has given any representation to the Ministry of Fertilizer for increasing the subsidy in urea also.
Okay, see, all representations are going through FAI, Fertilizer Association of India, and they are not only covering the issue of fertilizer subsidy, they are covering the industry issue in totality, where subsidy issue is one of them. Like one of the representations they have been making to Department of Fertilizer is that the fixed cost which was decided is as old as that of 2002. And except for the very recent increase of 150 and 350 rupees respectively, there is no such increase. So the FAI as an association is already harping to government to review the levels of subsidy. Okay, fixed cost subsidy especially, because in case of urea, we are anyway getting 100% of the variable cost, more or less.
But sir, other urea manufacturing like Chambal and other, they are making decent profit. Our company is selling the fertilizer since quite a long time, and our is a depreciated plant, and we are debt-free company. Why we are not making any money in fertilizer?
Okay. See, fertilizer is a controlled business. Okay. Secondly, if you compare, Chambal is a volume player. More than 3 million tons of capacity is there. Okay. Whereas ours is 1/5 of that. So what happens when limited volumes are there? You don't normally cover full of your fixed cost. And therefore, if you see, although we are not making money in terms of profit, we are more or less close to the break-even kind. This time the loss is because of certain provisioning as well as 1 month loss of production. Otherwise, it would have been like break-even short.
Okay. So in that case, why, since we are a 70% chemical company and we are having only 30% fertilizer business, 30-35% fertilizer business, why in our opinion as an investor, we should expand our business in chemical in this way, taking the advantage of PLI scheme announced by Government of India, and either high of the fertilizer or the fertilizer division can be sold to the parent company, Gujarat State Fertilizer, which they are having the dominant business in the fertilizer. And we should be purely a chemical company, and that is we investors prefer that.
Okay, as an investor, you are right, sir. But what happens when you study the operation side of the company? There are certain integrations which does not permit this kind of hive-off. If you want to know still in better detail what you can do, you can get in touch on a one-to-one basis with our operations team, who will explain why the hive off is not possible practically.
Okay. Sir, can you give just general broad guidance?
To answer your question, that we should be like expanding in chemicals. So this is what we have been doing. If you look at the 1250 crore investment which board has cleared, it is towards the chemical.
That's right, I agree, sir. Because the chemical business has got a bright future in India, and we should, our company should expand. Can you do some broad guidance for turnover, not profits, for turnover of the company, if company can achieve in current financial year FY22?
Okay. See, there are different levers which we have explored internally for increasing the turnover as well. Okay? Including taking up certain profitable trading parts.
Okay.
So we should see going forward in couple of years down the line the impact of that. If you still want
last question. Yes,
Sir,
please go on.
Rejoin the queue for follow-up questions, sir.
No, only last, the relevant question, madam, nothing relevant to chemical, no more question. Okay, sir, you go on, sir.
No, this is what we have internally reviewed the things as to how do we increase the turnover, okay, as well as the profitability. So there are this is part of the strategy which is discussed internally. And execution, as you know, will take, has its own transition. So in due time to come, it will witness, the figures will witness the changes accordingly.
Okay, thank you very much. I really enjoyed that. Thanks. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nikhil Parekh from Tamohara Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Sure, thank you for the opportunity again. I just had one last question. So just wanted to check one thing, with onset of COVID-2 and it hitting the rural area badly. Sir, in your view, what impact it can have on overall fertilizer industry? Because we are, the Kharif season is about to begin. So what is the overall impact it can have on overall fertilizer industry?
Okay. Like in the initial remark we covered, that pandemic has actually not affected fertilizer industry as such. On the contrary, fertilizer industry in general has grown by around 8%. Urea by 5% and NPK, MOP and SSP in double-digit growth. So pandemic has not impacted over last 1 year the fertilizer industry, and therefore we have a reason to believe that it will definitely not affect.
So in spite of last year, there was a view that it did not enter the rural area, but this time it has entered the rural area. But you still see there can be no impact with respect to onset of Kharif season going forward.
Okay. See, this is a question which is more broader, and it is very difficult at a management level to assess such kind of things, that what kind of impact if it goes into rural area it will make. So we will not be in a position to answer this specific question as such, because it is more global in nature and we can't comprehend this kind of things very clearly.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for it.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, would request you to rejoin the queue. The next question is from the line of Manvardhan Baid from Laurel Investment Advisors. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. Congratulations on a great set of numbers. So, like you have just mentioned, that for most of the products on the industrial side, we seem to be operating at more than 100% capacity utilization. So for each product, can you tell us as to what utilization levels can they go to? Because, that will help us understand that what is the runway that each product still has.
Okay, understood. See, okay. Now, this question has a technical angle. But what happens if you see GNFC's capacity utilization, capacity utilization is something which is debottleneck with certain opportunities which is witnessed by the technical team. So if you talk about the runway in each product, immediate answers may not be there as to in each product what is the runway, except where the team is currently actively working. So I will request Sri Yogesh Bhai Patel to throw some light on the couple of products where there is a clear visibility. And regarding the products where there is no immediate visibility, what happens? There are plans which get developed over a period of time. And he will also expound on how the capacities are evolved in certain products. Now it is over to Yogesh Bhai.
See, regarding capacity utilization, mainly in IP products like formic acid, acetic acid, methanol, our technical expertise have digested the technology, and whatever the design technology supplier has given, we have been breaking through in certain parameters of design, and we have achieved a very high capacity utilization just by optimization of process parameters. Whereas in some of the cases, some of the products like formic acid, we have duplicated the capacity. In acetic acid, we have topped up the capacity. In methanol, we have upgraded our version of catalyst. In ammonia also, we had done some series of modification where upgradation of technology is applied in the form of revamp. So likewise, we are trying to add our capacity to the extent possible, where major portion of the plant remains same, where some peripheral changes and some optimization in design parameter, we are able to achieve very high capacity utilization. And in some cases, we have also done some debottlenecking. So there we are able to get some very good capacity utilization. I hope I am answering your question.
So just to, for example, formic acid, where we are operating at 190%. So where can that go to? Because for a layman, for a non-technical person like us, we feel 100% is the cap. So if there is 80, we feel it can go to. So there is, but over here, since we are at 190, we don't know where the ceiling is.
See, the further brownfield expansion will add up close to around 28% more to formic acid.
On 190 to 28%. So that
the current production is around 65 metric ton per day. There is another 20 metric ton per day which will come up. So it will be adding to that extent. Okay. Now, regarding your question on what is the further runway for the other products, like we covered in case of TDI2, there is a further runway of around 18% or so. Okay. And regarding the other products, see, a technical team continuously keep on working, and wherever they see the opportunity, they either do revamp or certain changes in process parameter, catalyst, etc., so that gradually they inch up the capacity utilization.
Fair enough. So one more question. So what was the turnover of aniline this quarter?
Okay, product-wise, normally we don't mention, but just to answer your question, aniline turnover this year for the full year is around 325 crore.
And the quarter gone by, fourth quarter?
See, as I told you, normally we don't give product specific. Since you asked for the FY, we covered, so we have a request further not to ask on quarter basis.
Okay, sir. No problem. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Parapik Tholia from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so thanks for the opportunity and congratulations on a very good set of numbers, especially in your IP business. So, but again, I was not exactly able to understand, maybe I missed out in the initial commentary, for the reason for the losses that you've shown in the fertilizer business, considering that this year the fertilizer overall has been good and subsidy payments have also been timed. So what has really impacted us on the fertilizer side?
Okay. There are three important factors which has affected the fertilizer segment this year. You are looking at the numbers on a comparative basis. Okay, from profit of around 216, segment profit of around 215 last year to 24 crore loss this year. Okay.
Right.
Now, there are three factors. In 1920, government on 30th of March announced the subsidy on account of the fixed cost. So every company, including GNFC, recognized, and GNFC recognized around 190 crore last year, which was for the 5 full financial years. Okay, number one. Number two, this year we have lost 1 month production both in case of mixed fertilizer as well as urea, which has contributed further down to the losses. The third is we have made certain provisioning in case of retailer incentive of around 14 crore rupees. So these three factors taken together is accounting for around 95% of the variance explanation.
Okay, so these are recoverable expenses, or this was only one time? And from FY22, you expect the profits to improve?
Okay, see, production loss is not, which was unusual. It is not expected, like pandemic is not expected to be having the complex down for 1 month year on year. So it was definitely one time. Provisioning of retailer incentive was a one time because areas were accounted for. And third is the difference because of the one-time subsidy of 190 crore, which was accounted last year. So more or less, most of the factors are one-timer in nature. So to answer your question, if you operate in a normal way, we expect the fertilizer business to at least break even going forward.
Break even would mean, sir, what would be our EBITDA per ton to achieve that break even?
Okay. See, segment-wise EBITDA we don't calculate. Okay. But then in terms of PBT, it will be like breaking even. EBITDA could be marginally around 2-3% in case of fertilizer business.
No, on a per ton basis, I just wanted to understand.
Okay.
Okay. And so secondly, so how do you see the TDI toluene spreads going forward? Are you expecting the spreads to be in the similar range, or there could be some contraction over here?
First of all, we have the plotting of last 5 years of toluene to TDI. There is no correlationship between NG price, toluene price and TDI prices. Regarding the future outlook of TDI prices, Mr. Desai will answer the question.
Generally, if we see the toluene TDI ratio, as Parikh sir has rightly said, it has no relation. But when the gap is higher, when the toluene and TDI difference is higher, then it can be said that the demand of TDI or the TDI market is very good. But when it is narrow, then we can say other way. The average TDI, toluene TDI difference is around $1,400 to $1,500 per metric ton.
$1,400 per metric ton. And the spreads are currently higher than this?
The spread currently is the same, $1,400.
So that is a peak?
No. Peak has gone very high, actually. In some of the year in 2018 and just last year also was good. But 2017-18 was exceptional. And at that time, that spread was gone up to $2,500 or even more than that.
Understood. Right, sir. Thank you very much, sir, and all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Saket Kapoor from Kapoor & Company. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. Dhanyavad, sir, for the opportunity. Sir, firstly, sir, if you could give us the mix in the fertilizer segment, sir. What percentage is urea and how much is the complex fertilizer of the total revenue?
See, normally the total revenue is around 1,700 crores. Okay.
Okay, sir.
For fertilizer as such. And if you look at the breakup, around 440 crore is that of the mixed fertilizer and 1250 crore is that of the neem urea on a full year basis.
Okay. So, sir, on this 440 crore also, what kind of margins are there? This is not a controlled business on the 444.
This is not a controlled business. So, in fact, if we factor the fixed cost, we are not making money. Because in case of mixed fertilizer, our volumes are also very less, around 200,000 or even less than that. Last year we produced around 165,000.
Okay. And sir, any obligation to be there in this complex segment also, sir, as for urea and the
actually, if you look at regulatory obligation, there is no such regulatory obligation. But because of the plant integration, like in one of the participants' case we refer to, like you can also join with our technical team later on a one-to-one basis, and they will explain why it is not possible to disintegrate this production of mixed fertilizer as well as neem urea.
Right.
Because of the integration of the plant.
Sir, you spoke about this other expenses part being higher this year. So on a normalized basis, sir, what should be the absolute numbers? What is the ad hoc increase for this year, and next year it will get evened out, sir?
The trend will be similar as that of the last year, because what has happened, the catalyst price have gone through the roof, number one. Number two, CSR obligation is going to be more or less same or more, because it is normally calculated with respect to the last 3 years profit. So it is going to be the same. So practically these two have made up, and the third is insurance cost. As you know, the GIC has increased the pricing, and most of the companies have seen more than 250% increase in their insurance cost. So you may say that other expenses will be more or less on the same footing as that of the last year, unless the catalyst price comes down. But looking to the 5-year trend of catalyst, it is not subsiding. In fact, it is on a fire.
Right, sir. And the catalyst requirement is on an annual basis?
Yes. Okay. Catalyst requires, different plants require different kinds of catalyst.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir, lastly, sir, if you could give us the raw material basket and the power fuel basket, how is this going to shape up? And lastly, on the TDI part, sir, you mentioned 1,000 crore turnover for TDI. That was the annual figure, close to 1,000 crore for FY21.
No.
And what was the figure for FY20, sir?
To be precise, I gave the overall number. To be precise, it is close to 900 crore.
900 crore for FY21?
Yes.
Okay. And on a comparative basis for FY20, sir, how it was? What was the comparative figure?
750 crore.
750. And now, sir, my answer for the raw material basket and the power and fuel.
Okay. See, we have around 4 to 5 key raw materials, as you may know, which is toluene, benzene, oil, gas, as well as special denatured spirit. Okay. And it is very difficult to predict how they will pan out in terms of natural gas, oil, toluene. And at the same time, like currently, if you see, most of the input prices are rising and rising disproportionately. But at the same time, if you look at the realizations, they are also rising through the roof, like Jitan Bhai explained. So it is a balance which is normally maintained. And because of our multiple product portfolio, company has been in a position to maintain the profitability. I cannot answer exactly what will be the outlook of input prices. But the current trend is everything. Most of the commodities are on fire.
And our power fuel utility mix, sir, how much it is totally gas based, and how are we sourcing this gas? And going forward, are these contracted or mainly on the spot basis?
Okay. See, our power and fuel total power requirement at Bharuch plant is around 55 megawatt. Out of which 33 megawatt is met through the gas mechanism, and the rest is met through either renewables or coal-based power. Okay. As far as sourcing of the gas is concerned, we have two arrangements, mid-term gas procurement as well as spot gas procurement, depending upon the opportunity available.
And what was the mix at this time, sir, for this year?
Mix of
the gas that you were the pooling part which you were explaining. I missed it.
No. Pooling is different. When we talk about gas, there are two types of gases. One is the gas procured in the pooling mechanism, which is exclusively meant for urea, and the rest is meant for the industrial product.
Okay.
When you talked about the power, in case of power, what happens, like 33 megawatt which we are generating, roughly 60% of the power is met for the urea out of this, which is around 18 megawatt.
Achha.
Because power generated is a common pool,
and
thereafter it is distributed to different plants.
Correct, sir. And my last question is on the methanol part, sir. Where are we in terms of methanol production, and sir, going forward, any capex that we are doing, and how is the requirement going to shape up going forward in case of methanol as a fuel in the cooking arena, sir, as was earlier articulated by the government?
Regarding usage in fuel, GNFC is not as of now into that. So we will not be in a position to comment on that. Regarding methanol as an industrial product, we have two types of uses as far as methanol is concerned. One is the captive use of methanol, and second is the commercial use of methanol. Commercial use of methanol depends upon the cost economics, which we do from time to time, depending upon the gas prices, because predominantly it is gas-based. And at times when we get an opportunity in oil also, we manufacture that. Out of the total methanol, roughly 250 metric ton per day we manufacture for our captive use in the acetic acid. And the rest, depending upon the opportunity, we manufacture for commercial purposes.
Right. Thank you, sir.
And it's an interplay. If you look at the trend between methanol and NG, it is a direct correlation or less, which we observed, plotting the data of last 5 years. So what happens, it all depends upon encashing on the gas prices, practically.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, and all the best, sir.
Welcome.
The next question is from the line of Urvija Shah from Isha Investment. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you, sir, for this call, and I hope that management communicates consistently with the investors. Sir, regarding our capex, so is my understanding correct that most of it is going to be used in-house?
Yes, ma'am, your understanding is correct. In-house meaning captively, which will reduce the cost.
Right. And sir, can you give me TDI price trend in the current quarter, a ballpark figure for TDI prices?
Okay. Our IP marketing head will answer this question. Jiten bhai?
Mr. Jiten, your voice is not audible, sir. The line for the management is disconnected. Kindly stay on line till I reconnect them. Ladies and gentlemen,
Hello.
thank you for patiently waiting. But the line for the management is coming busy. So I would now like to hand over to Mr. D.V. Parekh.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Your question was on TDI prices going forward.
Yes, yes. So
Okay.
in the current quarter, if you can give a ballpark number and the outlook.
Okay. Exact price part is something which is price sensitive information. So we can't divulge that. But as of now, I will tell you one fact. Because of this pandemic, TDI domestic business as of now is affected one. Okay.
Okay.
In terms of volume, and it all depends upon when the lockdown is lifted. Once the lockdown is lifted, last time we witnessed that there was a sudden spurt of demand in the domestic front, and we were unable to cater to the full demand. In fact, because we committed our part to the export orders.
Right, right. Okay. Sir, one last thing was elaborating on previous participants' comments. Sir, fertilizer division, it is, you mentioned that, and we can see in the numbers, it is not contributing. Hello? Hello?
Yes, I'm listening, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So, sir, fertilizer, you said that we are a chemicals company and we have been getting the chemical results. But, sir, then we should also change our name maybe from fertilizer to get to realize the value of our company. So that is one suggestion being a shareholder.
Madam, we are not saying that we are a chemical company. The only thing, our major part of the revenue comes from chemical, which is around 65% in terms of turnover. And regarding fertilizer being a controlled business, there are enough capacities which are further coming up, which will make India absolutely self-sufficient. So we have examined the possibility, and as such, there is no such possibility of expansion in the fertilizer. Okay, because if you look at the total number, end of a couple of years down the line, India is going to be self-sufficient, and therefore import is also going to be truncated one. If you look at the mixed fertilizer, mostly the plants run between 50 to 60% of the capacities, and these are supposed to be coastal as well. Further, these are dependent on the inputs, where there is no certainty on the input prices, whereas government controls the nutrient-based subsidy. So it becomes very difficult to be on this side of the business. Further, there are capacities which are already coming. So there is not much better scope in case of urea. And in case of NPKs, they are already running at around 60% capacity or even less.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Our team is connected now, ma'am?
Sir, I'm calling. You want me to call the management right now, or would you like to add any closing comments before we close this call, sir? The number was coming busy. I tried calling them. The number was coming busy.
Okay. So unless there are any more questions, we may end the session if there are no further participants and questions anymore.
Okay, sir. So shall we close this call, sir? Thank you. On behalf of Batlivala and Karani Securities, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.